Welcome back. Now back to one of our leading stories. Thousands of electricity prepaid meters may stop working this Sunday. Dozens of Soweto residents have been standing in long queues at Eskom's offices since early this morning to have their meters updated. I am joined now by Mthunzi Luthuli, an energy analyst, to explain what exactly is happening there. A very good afternoon to you, Mthunzi. We are seeing very disturbing pictures coming out of Soweto, snaking queues. And just a little earlier, we were speaking to our reporters on the ground who were saying that now they're saying that the system is offline. This is really going to become a problem come Sunday.
Good afternoon, Masa, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, it is a problem. But I'm not exactly sure why so many people have to go and queue outside of Eskom offices. Because you can actually migrate to the new system simply by just buying your token, and then when you get home, when you upload, there will be just 2 additional steps that you have to go through in order to migrate to the new system, and then the problem is done. It's almost like a DIY, do-it-yourself process or procedure. It's very, very simple. So I'm not exactly sure why so many people have to now go to Eskom offices to try and solve this problem, particularly because Eskom launched this migration program in October last year. So it's more than a year now that this has been going on. So people could have done this anytime from last October up to now.
Yeah, also one thing we do know about us is the phenomenon of African timing as well, sometimes leaving things to the last minute. Some of the reasons that have come out, just for the question that you've posed now as well, when with our reporters on the ground speaking to people, they've come there, some of them have prepaid meter boxes that are already faulty. And they're saying, then you may as well also fix this. Or they're saying, I did try that simple step of loading a new prepaid token, and it's still not working. We're also seeing that they're there right now, but the system is offline. The other thing is that, you know, technology is not everybody's best friend, and quite often it's the elderly. And those are the people who we're seeing in those queues as well. Could it also be that, Mthunzi, that yes, things have been left to the last minute, but the system is also not as smooth as Eskom may think it is?
Look, getting system glitches obviously is something that happens from time to time. It shouldn't, but I suppose given the fact that these are the last days and everybody, as you were saying, we tend to leave things to the last minute, and everybody's trying to sort this thing out, it's possible that maybe the system is getting overloaded, and then that leads to system crashes at certain points. That's possible. But I wouldn't really blame Eskom for this whole fiasco. I think Eskom started with this program early enough. If anybody is to blame, it's us as electricity users.
It's also quite difficult listening to those, particularly the elderly people who are sitting in those queues. Some of them have been saying that they came the previous night at around 11 p.m., some of them at the crack of dawn at 4 a.m. Yes, they left it to the last minute, but was there enough provision? Yes, let's not blame Eskom, but for those, you know, elderly people who are sitting in those queues, some of them have even brought their receipts to prove and show that I do pay for my electricity because of this also that Soweto residents don't pay, that narrative too. So they've brought what they needed to bring. They aren't as savvy when it comes to technology. Shouldn't there have been a little bit more provision for the elderly?
Yeah, maybe. But I suppose on the part of Eskom, it's also difficult to anticipate these things. Okay, they can estimate the number of people or the number of meters that have not been migrated to the new system. That's fairly easy to determine. But whether or not an elderly person is going to come to try and fix whatever problem, or whether it's going to be a young person, and what the nature of those problems is going to be, is something that's very difficult to predict. So I don't normally defend Eskom, but in this case, I think it's a little bit unfair to blame Eskom, because they actually started this program, as I say, in October last year. And they went on information campaigns, they did all kinds of things and everything that needed to be done. So yeah, it's just last minute problems. Maybe they were unavoidable.
Yeah. And the reality is that without merging to this new system, those people will be left in the dark come Sunday, because those systems will be inoperable. Yeah. That picture on Monday, you know, what is that going to look like? But after we are seeing now these scores and scores of people who aren't able to get assistance, does that mean most of Soweto will be dark come Monday?
I don't know. I'm still hoping that all the people that have problems will be processed. Eskom has announced that they will be ramping up their efforts to try and process everybody that's in the queues. I think they're deploying more people. They even said that they're able to see where meters have not been migrated per region within the distribution areas where Eskom is. So they're able to allocate resources accordingly. And the minister actually earlier on today assured us that Eskom will be doing that. Mm-hmm. So I'm still hoping that most of the problems will be resolved before a Monday.
And quickly, just as we wrap this up, NERSA, as well as proposed tariff increases, we've got those public consultations now and the backdrop of that too. How do you see those going?
Look, these public hearings on on tariff increases are always heated, contentious, understandably so, because I think Eskom's tariff increase applications are just ridiculous. You know, we've just heard just now, prior to our interview, that the CPI is now at 2.8, the Consumer Price Index. 2.8%, and Eskom is asking for a 36% increase. I mean, it's just crazy. And this is not the first time. It's been going on for a long time. Since 2007, the accumulated increases are over 800%. Over 800%. That's ridiculous. And I think that people should fight this. And I think that NERSA now needs to put its foot down as a regulator and just say that, look, Eskom, this is no longer going to happen. Eskom needs to be forced to control its costs. They're not controlling their costs. There aren't incentives for them to control their costs. And I think that Eskom is also being milked by private sector companies that provide goods and services to Eskom. And Eskom is not using its monopoly position as a monopoly customer, you know, to drive prices down, which means that there could be collusion between Eskom and those private providers of goods and services. I mean, we know that coal contract prices have increased drastically, I think, in the last 5 to 7 years. And we must ask the question why. And I think also they've been dollarized now. You know, this is ridiculous. So if they are granted this increase, Eskom will realize a revenue of about 450 billion. Slightly less in the first year, and it's about over 500 billion in the third year, because they're applying for a 3-year. So average 450 billion. Eskom needs to explain to us why it needs 450 billion rand to run its business. And that's over and above the bailouts that Treasury is given to them. It's ridiculous.
A key question indeed. Mthunzi Luthuli, thank you so much for joining us in studio and sharing your insights with us.